Hey there, mystery lovers and aspiring writers. Welcome to The Murder School, your weekly dose of killer writing tips and tricks. I'm your host, Jackie Sharp, and no, I'm not here to teach you how to get away with murder in real life. We'll leave that to the experts. Instead, we're diving into the world of crafting captivating murder mysteries that will keep your readers up all night, turning pages and guessing who done it. Whether you're a seasoned author or just starting out, The Murder School is here to help you sharpen your skills and unlock the secrets to writing a masterful mystery. Each week we'll explore different aspects of the craft, from creating complex characters and clever clues to building suspense and nailing that shocking plot twist. We'll also delve into the nitty-gritty of self-publishing, sharing tips and strategies for getting your murder mystery out into the world and into the hands of eager readers. So grab your notebook, your favourite writing snack, and maybe a magnifying glass for good measure, and join me every Monday for a new lesson at The Murder School. Together, we'll unravel the mysteries of writing a killer story. And remember, the only thing we're murdering here is writer's block.
Hi there, welcome to this week's episode. So later on in this particular episode, in the writing craft section, we'll be looking at one of the most crucial decisions that you'll need to make before diving into writing your new novel. You'll need to decide what point of view should you use. So that's for later on. So I've just finished up a short story, and in a couple of weeks I'll be releasing the fourth book in my Cozy Mystery series, which is very exciting. Now, it's a common issue among writers, and I am exactly the same, that we can sit down and write full-length novels, thousands and thousands of words, but when it comes to writing the blurb of just a few words, we stare frozen at a blank page. So the book blurb is that crucial piece of text on the back cover if you're creating a physical book, or on your product page on Amazon or other platforms, and it can make or break your book's success. So in today's competitive market, readers often make snap decisions based on these, 150 to 200 words, maybe 300. So it's definitely not a stage that we can ignore or skip. Now, of course, you can get a professional who can write it for you, and these days AI does a pretty good job. But even if you use these services or platforms, it really pays to know exactly what a good blurb should be. So here's a few tips if you're going to write your own, or if you're getting ready to assess one that's been written for you. So first of all, your opening line needs to grab attention immediately. Think of it as your book's elevator pitch distilled into one compelling sentence. So for example, let's compare these two openings. So the first one, John Smith is a detective who investigates crimes in London. Or a stronger one could be, when bodies start appearing in London's most famous landmarks, positioned to recreate Renaissance masterpieces, Detective John Smith faces his most baffling case yet. So clearly, the second version creates immediate intrigue and poses a question that readers will want to be answered. The structure of your blurb matters too. An effective blurb typically follows this structure. So first you have your hook, which is one or two sentences. Then you'll have your situation or your setup, which is 2 or 3 sentences. You will introduce the main conflict in your story, which is 1 to 2 sentences. And then you introduce the stakes or the questions, another couple of sentences. And eventually the final hook, which is your final sentence. So use strong language, active verbs, and evocative adjectives, but don't overdo it. So again, let's compare. Sarah goes into the house and finds something unexpected. That's fairly weak. So a stronger version would be, Sarah uncovers a decades-old secret that shatters everything she believed about her family. So the second version creates more tension and intrigue through specific word choices. Focus on your conflict, because conflict drives stories and it should drive your blurb too. So present the main conflict clearly, but obviously don't resolve it. You want readers asking, well, what happens next? So try to avoid these common mistakes in your blurb too. Don't include too much detail. Don't try to explain every plot point or character. So focus on the main core conflict and main characters. Never reveal major twists or endings or spoilers. The blurb should tease and not tell. And please don't use vague language or vague phrases like an amazing journey or a fascinating story. These things don't tell the readers anything. Show what makes your book unique. Don't overload your characters. So don't try to include every single character that you have in your book. Just limit yourself to 2 or maybe 3 maximum, because too many names will confuse readers. You really only have a few words, so you have to use them strategically. Another good tip is to actually look at the blurbs in the bestseller section in your genre. How do they structure it? What information do they use? What language do they use? So remember, less is more. A very common mistake is to try and cram too much into your blurb. So focus on the essential elements that will hook readers in, because you don't need to explain everything. You just need to make them want to find out more. Often your book blurb is your only chance to convince potential readers to invest their time and money in your story. So you really need to take the time to craft it, refine it carefully, and don't be afraid to revise it multiple times until it actually captures the essence of your book, while compelling readers to learn more and, of course, buy it. The perfect blurb should leave your readers thinking, oh my goodness, I absolutely have to know what happens next. And when you achieve that reaction, you know that you've absolutely cracked a blurb that sells. So writing your blurb is just one part of creating what I call your book package after you finish the writing and editing. So next week I'll be chatting about book covers. So that's it for this section. Now we're going to head into the writing craft section, and as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be looking at points of view, the perspectives that you are going to use when you write your novel. So I will look forward to seeing you at the other end and chatting to you next week. Bye for now.
When crafting your novel, one of the most crucial decisions you must make is selecting the point of view, POV. This choice shapes how readers experience the story, influences the way suspense builds, and determines what information can be revealed or concealed. Let's have a look at the various POV options and examine their strengths and limitations. The obvious one is the first-person POV, where you could choose to be in the detective's mind, for example, or even the killer's mind if you are feeling brave. First-person narration puts readers directly inside a character's head, creating an intimate connection between the reader and the storyteller. This perspective has been a favourite among crime writers for decades, with Raymond Chandler's Philip Marlowe novels serving as classic examples. A more modern example is Craig Johnson's Walt Longmire series. The advantages are that this narration creates immediate emotional connection and allows for authentic voice and personality. It has traditionally been used for hard-boiled detective fiction, where the readers discover clues alongside the narrator. Take this opening from Chandler's The Big Sleep. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning, mid-October, with the sun not shining and a look of hard, wet rain in the clearness of the foothills. The reader instantly feels present in Marlowe's world, seeing through his cynical eyes. It does have its limitations, and although you might be attracted to this POV, thinking that it is the easiest to pull off, you need to know that all information is restricted to what the narrator knows, so You can't show scenes where the narrator isn't present, and you can only convey what the narrator sees and hears. Technically, it is quite difficult, and it can be difficult to maintain suspense about the narrator's fate. Contemporary crime fiction often employs multiple first person narrators, alternating between different characters' perspectives. Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl masterfully uses this technique, switching between Nick and Amy's accounts. The advantages of this approach is that it solves the issue of only one perspective on the crime, it creates suspense, and it builds more complex mystery for the reader. If you are going to try this, then make sure you create clear voice distinctions and keep an eye on timelines and plot threads, otherwise it can get very confusing. Also, don't reveal too many clues at once, otherwise suspense is lost for your reader. The third-person limited POV follows one character closely while maintaining some narrative distance. This POV has given us classics like Michael Connelly's Harry Bosch series. The advantages are that it combines intimacy with professional distance. It allows for objective description while still accessing character thoughts. It can include subtle hints the protagonist might miss, and it is much easier to maintain suspense about protagonist's fate. However, it is obviously less immediate and intimate than first person, which can make it feel detached for some readers, and it does require technical writing skill to balance between showing and telling. The third-person multiple, or the grand overview, which I personally use quite a lot, follows multiple characters while maintaining narrative distance, as seen in Tanner French's Dublin Murder Squad series, or P.D. James's Adam Dalgleish novels. I like it because it allows me to show a comprehensive view of the investigation and can show both the crime solving and the crime committing. This POV allows me to create complex plot structures. It's perfect for procedural novels. Consider how P.D. James uses this POV to weave together different narrative threads, showing both the investigator's methodical work and the inner workings of suspect relationships. It has limitations, of course. It may dilute emotional connection. It requires careful handling of transitions. And if you are not careful, it can reduce tension if not managed well. But it's great for creating a balance between high octane or intense suspense and then giving the reader a bit of breather. But you have to be careful not to lose focus on the central mystery. The third person omniscient, or the all-seeing eye, is less common. Think about the opening lines of every episode of Desperate Housewives when the viewer gets a narration from the dead victim. It can work really well, and it is found in classic mysteries and some modern experimental works. The main advantage is the complete freedom to reveal or withhold information, and the ability to give a running commentary. It works well for complex, interconnected plots, where the reader may need some direction. But it is difficult to maintain mystery, and the whole Dear Reader approach does feel old-fashioned to modern readers. When you make your choice of POV for your crime novel, you need to consider several factors. First, what subgenre are you writing? A whodunit might benefit from limited perspective to maintain suspense. A procedural could work better with multiple POVs, and a psychological thriller might shine with first-person unreliable narrator or narrators. You also need to consider your story goals. If you are creating a character that develops over time or a series, and you need to establish empathy, then first-person POV would work well for that. If your focus is a twisty plot, then third-person multiple is a good choice. If your novel is a slow burn suspense, then limited perspective might work best. You should also consider your own technical experience and skill. Does your novel rely on a clear timelines or multiple red herrings, for example? Then there is your voice and dialogue abilities and character development style. My advice is to not be too experimental to start with. Lastly, have a look at current trends. Read and watch crime stories and see what works and what doesn't. Contemporary crime fiction shows increasing flexibility in point of view usage. Authors like Tanner French switch POVs between books in a series, while others like Louise Penny maintain a consistent third-person multiple approach throughout their works. Some writers experiment with mixing POVs within a single novel. For example, some chapters might be first person from the detective's perspective, while others use third person to follow the villain. This approach requires skill but can create compelling narratives when done well. Like just about everything when it comes to writing, there are no right or wrong answers. There's no perfect point of view for crime fiction. Each serves different storytelling needs. The key is matching your narrative perspective to your story's requirements and your strengths as a writer. Remember that whatever POV you choose, consistency and clarity are crucial for maintaining reader engagement and telling an effective crime story. That's all for this week. Next week, I'll be examining different types of conflict and how to use each one effectively to keep those pages turning. Please remember to like and subscribe if you are listening via YouTube, and sign up for the Murderous Mondays newsletter on my website, and you'll get this podcast and show notes directly to your inbox. You'll never miss an episode. All right, my fellow mystery mavens, that's a wrap on today's episode of The Murder School. I hope you've picked up some valuable tips and tricks for crafting your own killer stories. Remember, the key to writing a gripping murder mystery is to keep your readers guessing until the very end. Before we close the book on this episode, I want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a lesson. And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out and ensures that you'll be the first to know when a new lesson drops. Until next time, keep writing, keep reading, and keep 'em guessing. This is Jackie Sharp, signing off from the Murder School. Remember, the only good murder is a well-written one.